can see. Yeah, calisthenics number 12. Yeah. Fly robotics. Bifocals, my only purpose is to feed the locals. I'm spreading love when I see you and gotta approach you. I see the goodness in you, I wouldn't John Wick you. I know you hustling for your family just to pay the fiscal. I see the God up in you, He bless your physical. While we navigating problems, the world is abysmal. Skip the one up, let's get it to the center. Your house is big as mine, we can always help each other. Affirmation smother, it ain't even cost me a dime to uplift my brother.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Vulnerability is the New Sexy. Got a lot of guests with me tonight, but first of all, this is the safe space where Black men learn to be vulnerable, are encouraged to be vulnerable, and destigmatize mental wellness and getting better. So if you're here for that, you're in the right spot. But tonight is part 2 of the 4-part series on relationships. Part 1 went very well. We talked about emotional connection and the foundation of friendship in relationships. And tonight we're talking about conflict. A lot of people in relationships try to avoid conflict, but we are teaching tonight to grow connection through your conflict. And tonight we have a couple special guests. I got Mike and Kim Pruitt. I know you've seen Mike on the show before. He brought his wife tonight. So welcome to y'all. Derek Moore. You've seen Derek in the previous episodes, but then he brought his wife tonight. They're arguing backstage, so this is going to be good. Conflict. No, I'm just playing. Welcome too. And we got Jeannie Johnson, CEO, founder of For Love and Psych, another therapist. So I'm going to be switching hats today between a husband and a therapist. So I'm going to lean on Jeannie to talk about some of her, give some of her clinical insights.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone.
How you doing?
Hello.
And then I got my wife tonight, everybody. I told y'all she existed. She was really sick last She was really sick last week. And but today she is live and on stage. So listen, before we get started, I want everybody in the chat to please engage. You know what I mean? If you have questions that you want to get answered by one of the couples or one of the therapists on set, please feel free to ask them. We'll try to get to as many questions as we can. But how's everybody doing tonight?
Doing good.
Wonderful. Yeah, feeling good.
Good. So listen, we're going to unpack a lot of stuff that a lot of couples struggle with tonight. I think it's very important to me and Donna are going to be married 17 years next week, actually.
Sunday. Oh, wow.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, happy early anniversary.
Happy early Annie.
Mike and Kim, y'all been married. I'll just let y'all tell. I want to tell. How long y'all been married?
It will be 25 years in August the 26th.
Okay, cool. And Derek and Mel?
We will be 4 years, May 2nd.
Okay. Well, cool. Let me ask you something, man. First things first. Sorry, I should be ready for this. What are some of the most common things that in the beginning, because y'all 25 years in, I'm talking to you and Mike and Kim. What are some of the things in the beginning that y'all used to have conflict over?
Wow.
I'll
let you answer.
I would say in the beginning, the conflict was more about other people, like family members. It really wasn't with us.
Right.
So we had to learn to navigate through that.
Yeah, mainly me being the oldest, and my mother was, she wasn't accepting me being married and being with someone else. She wasn't adapting to that very well. So it took us a while to work through that. But there was our major conflict that we had in the beginning.
Okay. Yeah. Well, how did y'all navigate through it in the beginning when y'all were young?
Wow, we didn't know how to.
Yeah, right.
It was something new for both of us, and it took a while for me to kind of grab hold of the situation and do what I need to do, simply because it was my mother, didn't want to hurt her feelings, that kind of thing. But it just progressively got worse, and it just came to a point where I had to just say, hey, mom, I'm married now. This is my wife. She's the main lady, and we need to, kind of recognize that and accept that, and that's basically how it's going to be from this point forward.
So y'all was just stumbling and bumbling through the first.
Yes.
Sure
First,
was.
Yes. Yeah. It was tough. Very tough.
Derek and Mel, like y'all been married 3 years, but y'all met each other after previous situations, so had a little experience, had a little more knowledge on what you didn't want. But how was like conflict for y'all in the beginning?
Conflict.
Did you want to go?
Conflict was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard for us, and I think we are maybe, hopefully, at a point where we're kind of level setting and understanding how to work through it. For me, because when I was married previously, I can honestly tell you we had conflict, but it wasn't spoken. Like, it was, the elephant was in the room. We saw the elephant in the room, but we didn't deal with it. So coming into after being divorced 13 years and then remarrying, it was just like, this is hard. Like,
Right.
I don't like this. I'll be telling Kim, like, friend, I need help. Yeah.
And part of it was too, I was used to having hard conversations, and we struggled with. I wasn't used to having kids in the house, and and these were adult kids, and so young adult kids, and so I struggled with little things that I was accustomed to and how they were done. And yeah, we had some rough conversations. Yeah.
Well, how about
Uh-oh.
you? I know we had we really didn't have any conflict in our marriage for like the first 5 years or so.
At least 5 years. It was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like, it was easy going, other than maybe like Mike and Kim said, maybe other people, like other family.
Right.
It was so minimal that it was like, well, is this what marriage is like?
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh shit.
Went crazy. And honestly, I don't think either one of us really possessed the skill or the talent to like deal with conflict in a mature way. As a matter of fact, I mean, we probably were experts at avoiding it as much as possible. And that only, what I hope the people gain tonight is that only causes more issues. Avoiding conflict.
Yes.
So, Gina, I'm gonna ask you, what are some of the common conflict issues that you see in your practice when couples come across your office?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that your couples did such a great job, and you as a couple as well did such a good job giving some of the central triggers for conflict in relationships. And it can be family dynamics, right? Adjusting to family dynamics can be really tough on individuals in their relationships. Not having a clear understanding and allyship as far as their values are concerned. So where, I have an understanding about what I want for my children and how I want to navigate conflict in front of young adult children, my partner maybe never had that in mind for themselves or never understood that to be something that's true. Huge conflicts include things around intimacy, how often intimacy occurs or does not occur. Other triggers include things like how the finances are managed, whether there's a person who plays a primary role in the finances and taking care of finances, or it's more of a shared governance in those types of ways of being within the relationship. Many times, those are some of the core conflicts that I see in relationships.
Yeah, I think for me, in my practice, centers around a huge lack of communication.
Yes.
And it'd be people who be together for years and years and years and years, and then when you try to break down like some of the things that they're arguing about, and really dig down to like the underlying issues that are causing their conflict, it's usually never about the thing they're arguing about.
Right.
Right.
And it's usually a lack of understanding or knowledge of a person's emotional triggers.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
They
you
had
can be
no idea. Yep.
right, no idea.
Mhm.
You see that too, Jenny. You could be with somebody for years and years and years and not understand what triggers them. You're steadily triggering them and taking it personal.
Right.
Yeah.
Come back at you, right? I saw you.
Absolutely.
Man, we are just now learning that.
Really?
After
Yeah.
all these years of marriage, we're just now beginning to understand what each other's triggers are.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm.
it took us this long to figure that out,
Yeah.
and it's been rough along the way. I'll just say
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
That can be very strange for couples. And sometimes you
Yes.
know that you're pressing a button, you know that you're activating someone, but you don't know whether it's on the side of something that's normal. Like, so it's, oh, you
Mhm.
know, you're a little agitated every now and again. Or, you know, when I say this to you, you get an attitude every, and you're like,
Right.
oh, that's normal. For some people, right? They're like, it's
Mhm.
normal
Yeah.
to be a little agitated every now and again. It's normal that she gets a little quiet on me, or it's normal that he, when we have a little argument or a little tiff, he goes and hangs with his mom more often. That's normal. And other people are like, no, actually, it's not normal that you leave the house when we have an argument. Maybe
Right.
that's something that's
Yeah.
triggering my husband. It's
Yeah.
actually not normal that she doesn't want to have sex with me whenever we have had a rough day with each other. That's actually not normal. I probably should figure out what's going on there. I'm triggering my wife in some way, right? I'm
Right.
having behaviors that are triggering my wife. So yeah, it's
Right.
rough.
Yeah.
100%. Bill, let me ask you: do you feel like you know when you and Derek are heading into like a really destructive argument? Like you feel like you see it coming?
Oh, for sure. For sure. And I'd be like, next stop, I'm off. Like I'm not doing this. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but we're learning, and I've learned that that's because that's what was modeled to me. You know, my thing is I'm one of them, like Jeannie said, that would be like, okay, I'm exit stage left because I can't deal with this. And it's not that I can't, it's that I don't know how to. You know, my conflict, again, being divorced, and that was one of our things too, being divorced for 13 years, my communication was with my children. So I had to learn how to communicate with a spouse and communicate on hard things. And the other Melanie was like, girl, we can't do this. Like, this is hard.
Absolutely. You're what we would call conflict averse, right?
Yes.
Conflict for you, it
Not
feels
not
like
even diverse. Avoid
averse. Yeah, like I'm out
adverse.
of
Yeah.
here. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
out of here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Explain explain what that is, Jeannie.
Oh, sure. So someone who is conflict averse, or a synonym, conflict avoidant, is someone who struggles with emotion regulation inside of conflict. So something bad happens between them and their partner, and they have really strong emotions that bubble up that start to scare them, or really strong thoughts that start to scare them. And it creates this impulse to just to what I call run or fly, right? So I
Mhm.
get out of there. Either I shut down, that's a way to avoid. So I'm not talking about nothing. And I might be in your presence and be telling you I'm not talking about nothing. Not at all. Don't even try it. Or I might actually exit stage left, which is like I will leave the home. Like if I feel strongly enough, if my emotions bubble to the surface enough, I need to exit. I can't be in the same environment. The tension is too much for me to withstand. So I'm out of there.
Is there an opposite to that?
Absolutely. Yeah. Someone
What?
who's conflict inviting. So someone who recognizes and understands that, hey, you know what I saw and what was modeled for me is that people fight sometimes and I still love you. I still see you as really beautiful and I still want to be around you. And even when you're upset or mad at me, I still want to talk to you and I still want to get it figured out. I actually really want to get it figured out because I miss having your company. I miss being around you and I miss seeing you be happy.
That's me.
All day.
Yeah.
It's nice to have that compliment.
Most times, a lot of people in relationships that I see, you're like one or two people, and there's not, everybody's different, and some situations they vary, but for the most part, I see people that are avoidant and people that are anxious, right?
Yes.
And it's usually they're both in a relationship. The person that wants to follow you around and get answers to the conflict right now. Let's do it right now.
Mhm.
And the person that like need a whole room and don't really want to deal with it. And if you don't talk about it again, you'll never hear about it again. Like,
Yep.
but we're here to teach that both of these people are wrong. Okay,
Mhm.
you,
Yeah.
you have to be willing
Yeah.
to take a break, breather, right?
Mhm.
But also, you have to come back to the conversation. If you leave it, you have to come back to it. All right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you have
Absolutely.
to come back to it.
Sure.
But Mike, when I say that, man, 25 years in, uh, what comes up for you when I say that?
Um, I feel like when it comes to conflict, most of our problems came from me having like such a big personality,
Oh.
um, overpowering, personality and stuff like that. That whenever it came to conflict, my wife would shy away, quiet, get quiet and not speak up for herself. Um, I'm learning that I did that so much through the years of our marriage that she didn't really have a voice, and she avoided the conflict by just not saying anything,
Mhm.
because she felt like it would create even more conflict, that type of thing. And then, a lot of times I'll be like, let's just go ahead and talk about it and get it over with. You know what I mean? And that kind of thing, just to get it out there, and she was like, no, we don't want to talk about it now. That kind of, just because she know what it could possibly lead to. So yeah, I was real bad on that.
Mike was very, very triggering with his voice, his
Yes.
Ah.
tone, very loud, which I just found out probably about a year
Yeah.
ago. That's from the way I grew up with my father being loud. So I just would shut him out and just I didn't want
Yeah.
to talk no more.
Yeah, and that would create even more conflict for me
Yes.
because I'd be like, she's ignoring me,
When he's ready, I'm
you know,
ready. Yeah,
Mhm.
that kind of thing.
Kim, you saying basically you had a trigger you didn't even know about,
I didn't.
Yes.
I didn't.
right? But you were getting triggered by it anyway, nonetheless, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you're totally unaware of it. I think that's important for the audience to recognize.
Mhm.
Sometimes you don't even know
Right.
Mm-hmm.
what your triggers are, but
Right.
yet when I tell you, let me ask Jeannie first, and I'll tell you what I
Sure.
think.
Yeah.
When you're in a relationship, how do you, I guess, identify triggers? In your
Absolutely. Well, some of us are fortunate enough to have done some inner work prior to getting into relationships. And so we have some understanding, some cues about what can create an activation for us. Learning in relationships is a little bit harder. Sometimes it's trial and error. So it's touch and go. It's like I'm going through life with my partner and then I'm picking up as we go along things about them in our dynamic, in our interactions that I'm learning from. Other ways to learn are from just direct feedback. Hey,
All right.
I said something to you the other day, or I'm gonna be honest with you, I touched you the other day and you kind of you recoiled or you flinched in some way, and it worried me because I thought, oh, what's going on with her? Or like Mike's situation, I get into this I'm a powerful man, I'm a strong man, and my voice elevates when I'm ready to like command the room. It elevates, it escalates, and my wife was shrinking, like literally she shut down, she
Yeah.
couldn't withstand it. And I don't know who noticed it first. Maybe Mike noticed it first, maybe Kim noticed it first, I don't know. But oftentimes we can get insights from other people around us who will help us to have further insights to ourselves. So there's various ways that you can experience that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
no
Yeah.
notes, you leave me. So when you you start smiling when I talk to you. Uh, what do you think you can identify some of the signs when it's like he not going today or he in a
Oh
bad
yeah, you wear all your emotions on your sleeve.
Good man.
And that's our show. We're so glad you was able to join us.
It's okay. We love that. We love a vulnerable man who's vulnerable and expressive out loud. We
Do we
love
though?
it.
No, they don't.
Honestly,
It's
'cause
tough. It is tough.
It's
Not
the
gonna
learn,
lie.
I had to learn. I had to learn.
right.
It didn't come, like, oh yeah, this is cool.
But then, let's talk about. You said some of that. Some of us are lucky to have done pre-work before
Yes.
we get into relationships, right? So
Mhm.
I was in my 20s when I got married, as she was too. But so I didn't do any pre-work, right?
None.
So vulnerable, yes. Understanding of my emotions and how to manage my emotions and not knowing anything about what my triggers were, thinking I was fine. And meanwhile, I really just recently just dealt with a whole bunch of trauma and I never even picked up on it. But
Mm.
so prior to
At least what, half of our marriage?
yeah, prior to understanding that about myself, like what was your strategy in like dealing with me when I was really off the range, like really low?
That's a good question.
Like what I do now, just consistently trying to pick you up and, you know, hold you when you're too weak to, stand on your own or, think straight. It's like I'm trying to.
Mm. You have an uplifter for a wife. Oh, how nice.
We'll call it that.
You call it.
Like,
Here you know, Donna.
lift me up after she hit me with the frying pan first.
Oh, okay. The other half? That's
That's
okay.
just a joke. If y'all out there, that's just a joke. Um, but look, Derek, I'm gonna ask you, man. Like, do you feel like you understood everything that you needed to understand about yourself to get yourself ready for male, especially considering you got out of some previous stuff? Like, were you ready when you got in this, or did you get in this like, oh, I got more work to do?
Mm.
I think it was a combination, and the reason why I say that because after my divorce, I did go to therapy, and I did have some really tough internal work that I did, and I had to look in the mirror and see some ugly stuff. But by the time I met her, I was really in a healthy space in some areas, not all areas, but in some areas to where I believe I was ready for another life partner. And so, but that work was, it was grueling, it was hard, but it was good stuff that just had to come out. Um, so it was a lot of life lessons learned from my mistakes. Yeah.
Okay. Did you see that shift, Mel, or did you feel like he was understanding more things about himself and it was helping y'all in y'all situation?
I think now I do. I don't know. I know what I was looking for, and I know the work that I was doing on myself. So I wanted someone that would be like compatible with that, that was doing the work. Because the first time I got married, I was in my 20s. There was no pre-work at all. We jumped in. Love was the pre-work. Oh, I'm in love.
Yeah.
So you get married because you're in love.
Yeah.
But this time around, I think because of what I had experienced and what I knew I did not want and what I knew I would not tolerate because I wouldn't tolerate it from myself, I was able to voice that early on to Derek and let him know, all this sounds good. You're coming, you sound great, all the things, but when is Jack gonna jump out the box? Like he would always say, why you keep saying Jack gonna jump? Because I just know like something has, because for me, I know there's something there. And if you push the right button, if you push it too many times, it's gonna pop out. But for the most part, I would say I can definitely see going in where he done the work because we had a lot of conversation around it and where he continues to do the work.
Love that.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, I love that too. Let's talk about some of the main things that arrive in communication between partners that kind of signify that things are finna go left. And before I say this, I want to just make sure everybody understands. Like, if you are in a relationship with a person and you have chosen to be in a relationship with a person, you are in a partnership. Y'all are on the same team. So logically, having conflict or arguing, I shouldn't say arguing, having conflict that escalates to um, dangerous levels is illogical because ultimately, if you're in a relationship with somebody, you should want the same things. You're in partnership, you have the same goals, uh, at least if not individually for each other, whatever, or as a unit, you have the same goals. So escalating conflict to the point of like yelling is illogical, but the conflict is necessary because you learn each other through conflict. But one of the things I want to talk about is how blame and criticism shows up
Yes.
in a relationship. But before I get on it, Jeannie, you got something to say about that?
Oh, yeah, sure, absolutely. I mean, oftentimes people, rather than address the problem at hand, they can have a numerous reactions to having a situation occur between their partner that include, I don't really know if we can resolve this. I'm sort of frightened as to what could be the outcome, or I feel a sense of hopelessness or powerlessness over the situation. So instead of focusing on the situation, you're describing blaming, which is I'm gonna just say it's your problem. It's your fault. You're the one who's summoning this conflict between us, or you're the one who's summoning. Most people don't use that word, right? They're like it's tension, or it's it's like you got an attitude, or there's a funk or something to that degree inside of the relationship right now, and you're the person who's creating it, and I'm going to pick apart what you're doing, the way you've been looking at me, the way you've been talking to me, the way you've been skipping out at dinner, eating real fast and not waiting on me, like little things they'll pick at and blame towards the other person versus dealing with the conflict at hand.
100%. Talking, you dirty bastard.
Yep.
Clean up this or clean up that.
Yep.
Not talking like that.
Wait a minute. Did Donna talk like that? Jeez.
Sick and tired of all the things, but really what you're saying is I'm really exhausted. I've done this all week. I feel very unappreciated. I feel very disregarded. But instead of saying those things, you're hurling out insults.
Right.
Right.
When no one can really argue with your feelings. If you feel disregarded or unappreciated, you can say that, or you should be able to say that. And however the person reacts to them, that might trigger them. But the conflict, is going to lead to the understanding. Mike, you used to fight dirty?
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that I fight dirty, but what I do is I will ignore you as if you don't exist.
Dirty.
That's dirty.
That's dirty.
I
Look,
mean,
you don't know about that, Mike, and people always get surprised in session when I say this, that when you ignore somebody or shut down, that is actually abuse.
Well, I have been very abusive in our relationship, in our marriage.
Me too.
I admit that 100%.
Yeah.
And that's something that I still struggle with now.
So I want you to think about it like this. I don't want to deal with what's happening, so I'm going to leave you alone in it. That's what it is when you refuse to give yourself, when you refuse to show up. You say to your partner who you got into marriage with, who you said you were going to do life with, and that we were going to be on the team together for life. You say to them, nope, I know we got to win this game, and it takes all of us to win the game and to bounce the ball. I'm not picking it up anymore, so you do it all. Do it.
Yeah. And also we've been struggling with this recently. So just in our last few therapy sessions, I also found out that I don't think that a lot of times she can handle the things that we need to talk about. Or if there's a problem, I don't give her credit for being able to handle that conversation. So instead of trying to put this on her for some of the things she can't handle, I just don't bring it to her at all.
Right.
So
And
that's been
trapped as well, right? That's the mindset that I was talking about. That's keeping you trapped. That's the blaming mindset. It's, I know she can't handle it, so I'm going to avoid bringing it to her. Whereas I know that there are triggering behaviors that I get into when I'm inside of a conflict with her. I yell at her, I talk over her, I overpower her. And I know that those are my things that I need to take on and that I need to change if I want to have a productive conversation with my wife. But instead of saying it's me and I'm the one who needs to bring it there because I'm the leader of this relationship, I'm going to put it on her. And then I get to avoid and I get to stay in my comfort zone and I don't grow.
Wow.
Absolutely. It really hit home for me when we discovered that one of her triggers is that I'm carbon copy of her dad, right? And that kind of put it all in perspective for me because I used to be like, man, he crazy as hell, I'm watching some of the stuff he's doing. I'm like, man, this dude. But then I'm doing the same exact thing. But it didn't really hit me until that connection was made that I trigger her in the same exact way. So that was like me looking in the mirror at that point.
Which felt kind of normal to me, right?
Right.
Because I experienced that growing up. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
You
man,
had
yeah.
those ways set in on how to deal with it. You already had them already implanted in you.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm going to ask you to do something real quick, Mike, just for me and for all of us real quick. Untuck your arms. Untuck them. Show your heart. Yeah, you're a little guarded. You were both like this, and then she calmed,
Yeah.
and I was waiting to see if it would come down, but just
It's
I was
just
uncomfortable.
it's just a
Untuck.
natural thing for me. Yeah,
I
it's
know
just
it is, but
comfortable.
untuck because it's an
Untuck.
open heart
Mhm.
conversation,
Oh, Miss
and it'll bring out.
Jamie.
I know. I'm sorry.
Joe, we can't have her back on. This her last time.
That's it. I'm
This
gonna
is it.
head on out.
Can I put one?
Train observe that body language, man.
That
You just
heart go.
Man.
Let that heart out. Let it out.
All right.
Both of you.
Okay,
She
Miss Gina.
untucked.
Hey,
I
I'm
watched her do it. I was
trusting
like,
you.
she's good.
All right. I'm trusting you.
you feel like that's enough? Like I can't handle the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
That sounds familiar.
I don't hold back from telling you sometimes because you're gonna get angered. It's more so like, I don't want to put him in a bad space and have this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whatever it could be about. Let's just say like finances or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking I'm protecting him when really I'm not.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Lamont is very aware that I went through a deep depression, and it's really tough sometimes for me to get into a good space when I hear bad news. But I recognize that as a part of a unit that sometimes I just gotta prepare myself to deal with some of the things, whether because it's better for me to know and be upset or down than it is to not know and find out and be blindsided, thinking everything is all good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's just part of knowing and understanding each other. But like Mike is telling you, they and Kim are telling, they've been married 25 years, and they just in year 23, 24 finding out stuff about each other that's helping them understand more, and themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's a lot of the work, right? Knowing and understanding your own self.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, actually being open to learn those things about yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the hard part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Derek, talk to me. We're gonna move on from blame and criticism and talked about like disrespect, and
Ooh.
contempt, and like sarcasm and eye rolling and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's some. I'm gonna leave it there. Speak on it, brother. What you got to say about them things, man?
Jeannie had brought up something early about you know how to trigger your partner.
Yes.
You do. And there are certain words, certain body language, eye rolls, all of that happens. And for men, we look at that as total disrespect when we're trying to have a conversation with you and you're not looking at me, or you're eye rolling, cut me off, or you try to finish what I'm saying. And so for us, we're still learning that process because Jenny, part of the issue here has been, and even recently, when I'm frustrated, my voice does escalate.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize that my wife doesn't receive from me at all
No.
when I am at a high pitch.
Yeah.
She totally shuts down. So I'm learning I'm in the process of really having to rewire how I speak to her
Mm-hmm.
so I won't think that she's disrespecting me, because literally I'm triggering her, which then she does something that triggers me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You need to be mindful that there are 3 women who can show up when it comes to you escalating as a man and you're dealing with a partner. 3 different types of women. There's the woman who will shrink under that. She cannot and will not. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to try to meet you at that high power level. That doesn't belong to me. It's not a part of my nature. And then there's the other end, which is like, I was taught and I was raised under that, and I'm going to buck right up. I will meet you right exactly where you want to take it. And I have no problem with meeting you there. That does not bother me at all. And then you have the in-between, she softens and asks questions and is investigative and is trying to figure out, okay, what do I do? Where do I go with this? How can I handle it? But you've got to be prepared for each three of those types of women. And
that's a lot of women in one person. Yeah.
Well, and I can say this.
We're versatile, baby. Versatile.
We are versatile.
Oh
and
my God.
I can say this. He normally, depending on what the conversation is about, what's happening, he normally gonna get number 2, because I'm gonna meet you right there, because you will not.
Yeah.
You will not. And then I'm gonna come down. I'll be like, you know what, girl, just be quiet. So I'm gonna go between 1 and 2. I rarely will be in the middle. I'm gonna just be honest.
Right.
Rarely.
It's either extreme, one or the other. But going back to the triggers, Janie, when you know you're triggering your partner, and it's for us feel disrespectful, how do you navigate that space when that person know they don't trigger the hell out of you?
Absolutely. It's taking out this idea that it is intentional and it's meant to hurt you. So I think in your brain, you've already decided, because she knows what gets me, she's doing it on purpose for sure. And I know she's doing it on purpose to undermine me, to maybe belittle me, or to demean me. And that's where I'm taking it with my mind, versus approaching it with a healthy curiosity, or with the thought that what's going on here that might be creating this situation, and how can I, as the man in this relationship and as a strong lead in this relationship, ensure that I'm in my space of looking to command the respect that I say I deserve, by entering in with a calm mind and a calm heart, and with the thought that, okay, something's going on here. Something's not right here. I don't know exactly what it is, but I want to figure it out. I want to investigate it because I want to ensure that we stay where we are.
Gene,
Yeah.
I don't want to be the big man all the time, okay?
Listen, I didn't say you had to. I didn't say you had to. I said if you asked me how to navigate this, if you want the best outcome.
Exactly.
Now, my friend, if you want problems, choose problems. But if you want peace,
God.
This is
She just
this is the hard stuff about relationships, right? You're like, I don't always want to be the bigger man, so go and be the petty man and see what you get.
Well, 9 times out of 10, I am bigger. 9 times out of 10.
It
But
would-
that one time, I want to be petty. I want to be petty.
You said, call me Betty. I'm gonna be petty. I cannot.
Right.
That is funny.
It requires partnership, right? Like, you know,
Does.
so sometimes it's going to be difficult for you to be the person but it's a requirement for both people, if you are in a committed partnership, to step up when it's time to step. You got to recognize when you're using blame, when you're using criticism to communicate to your partner, you are attacking them with the hopes of hurting them. And if you were in a relationship that you say you in, like you love this person, you got to ask yourself ultimately, why would I be doing that?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the kind of, and it sounds crazy, man, but when you really start digging into wellness and understanding of these things, you know, you really realize the things that you've learned over time have been incorrect. You know,
That part.
you learned it. Where did you watch it?
Yeah.
You know,
That part.
Right.
where did you learn your conflict resolution from? You know,
Part.
if you haven't been inside of a therapy room, it's usually every single time, you know, you'll have somebody with the shut off body language, but as the process goes through, you start seeing that light bulb coming on, and then realizing and recognizing, oh man, I don't have to be this angry dude in order to survive in this relationship. I can really be honest. Like, I don't have to lie about this and that and this and that in order to survive. So I hear you, Derek. Man, that's why I asked you that question, man. I knew you was gonna give me what you gave me, brother. Yeah, man,
Very good stuff.
you're 100%. But let's talk about defensiveness. We kind of talked about some of it a little earlier.
Wow.
You know, so I really want to make sure we recap. We're talking about blame and criticism, those things. We're talking about contempt, which is like sarcasm and eye rolling and all the body language to let you know that I'm not really receiving what you say, or I don't care about your feelings. And now we're talking about defensiveness, which basically was shifting accountability and turning it into blame. We kind of touched on it a little earlier, but when it shows up in relationships, you know, what do we do? You know, what do we do? And let me ask you, Kim, can you, because I know you've had it, I know you dealt with this. What do you do when Mike gets defensive?
So I really do try to talk to him. I express myself and my feelings and just really try to get him to open up. Now, does it work all the time? No. But I do try to work on it and give him grace.
Right. I asked you that, Mike, because you know you've been open on the show, man. You've experienced a lot of things within your family that has caused you to defend yourself, right? So
Yes.
certain things that have nothing to do with Kim that you might say or touch on might cause you to start defending yourself immediately, right?
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like it's a collective from everybody, right? Throughout the years, when you have to be uh, so much for so many different people, when somebody question you about something, like how dare you question me when all I have to give and do for you, you know? I'm like, how dare you question me now when you ask me for so much? And that's kind of where my mind goes with it, and I'm learning that has been the wrong thing to do. But it's like I've been doing this for so long, it's taken me a while to get out of that mindset, and I have to be like intentional and catch myself when I'm doing it. But I try, but it's yeah, I'm not all the way there yet, but I'm definitely trying to get better on it. So yeah. Yeah.
Donna, let me ask you,
There's so much in that.
how do you start difficult conversations? You can be honest. You can be honest.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know if I start them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
I think I avoid.
Is it difficult being a therapist?
Oh yeah, you were always trying to therapize me.
Oh, really? Oh, it's fun.
So,
Got better, but
so
Sure, yeah.
understand understanding mental wellness and understanding that I was doing a lot of things the wrong way kind of opened me up to talk different. And you know, it's kind of hard to get used to, I guess, right?
yeah, you pretty much told me at one time you wanted our conversation, day-to-day conversations, to be like I was his therapist.
Ah.
And like, ask him, well, how did that make you feel?
Ah. So he
Think-
wants to mimic. He couldn't say, I wanted more nurturing language from you. I'd like more affirming language. I want to hear from you more that you feel an investment in my comfort in the same way that I feel an investment in yours. So he said, I want you to act as my therapist. That's interesting. That's so interesting.
I don't know if that was his intent, but that's not natural for me. I'm not a therapist.
Yeah, it was more you know, my wife is a problem solver.
It's logical brain.
But you know, people communicate for two reasons, right? To either vent or to solve a problem. I don't always communicate to have my problem solved. I just kind of want to vent. So, like rather than like if I say, you know, something went wrong, she was like, "Well, you should do this, this, and this. That'll fix it right up." You know.
Yeah, that's Donna. Yeah.
Guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, that has its place. It has a wonderful place. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you ask me? Can you ask me how I feel first?
So you're looking to connect, and to instigate soothing, to instigate a loving, nurturing connection. It's not venting per se. It's to initiate some form of love, some form of attention and care.
Right.
Right.
This is my best friend.
She
right?
is.
100%. So I'm just trying to connect with my best friend, you know, without feeling like, you know, because you try to solve my problem. I don't know. I mean, this might be a me issue, but it kind of feels like a hit against, I don't know, my masculinity or me as a man. Because I'm like, hey, I have a problem. I don't want to tell you because you're trying to solve it, but I want to tell you because you're my best friend.
Right.
So it's weird space, right?
Yeah, because you're looking for the role you occupy from your standpoint is I'm not looking to be on a level where I want solving of the problem. I've got that part. I can solve the problem at some point. I need a cheerleader, or I need someone to tell me that I have the tools to solve the problem, that I can look inward to solve the problem, that I'm smart and cunning, and that I'm not, I know you feel down. I know you don't feel great about where the situation is right now, but just so you know, I've seen you come through this before. You've got this. So you want more of a cheerleader. It's a nurturing effect that you're looking for from your wife. And she's like, no, listen, let's just solve the problem. And then you'll be at peace. And it's like, no, that's her tool. She's the one who's at peace when she uses it. She's the one who feels useful when she's using it. But for you, it isn't useful because it's not what your heart needs or wants.
Very good point. I mean, that part that you just said is something that I need to understand, that she feels at peace solving problems. So I have to understand that. So yeah, thank you for
Well,
that.
that and also those of us that are fixers, it's hard for us to even recognize that and offer that,
I
because
wanted to.
it's just not the way that we think.
No, absolutely not. And
Yeah.
I think a big part of yours, my heart just kind of bled for you, Mike, when I was hearing you tell the story of being so much to so many people, because I can see that. It's like you wear it right here and like in the backs of your neck. And in that, when you get that questioning that you're talking about, when you get people being like asking you too much or investigating too much about what you're doing or how you're showing up, for you experience it as a mistrust in like your entire being, right? It's a mistrust in what I've shown you. It's a mistrust in the objective ways that I've come and I've been there. And it's like, how dare you in that, right? Because this is
I
all.
take it personal.
Yeah, you do take it.
Yeah.
I can see that. Like, that's a part of what we need to investigate when we're looking to understand our own selves. When I'm hearing what I'm hearing from my partner, or when I'm experiencing what I'm experiencing from my partner, am I taking this as a deeply personal hit to me and my person? Or am I actually hearing them, looking at them, and looking at the problem as a whole? So my wife says, you know what? Kim says to you, you know what? I feel like, I don't know, you just don't seem to be around. It just seems like you're bothered to do this and that for me. And you're like, wait, what? I just cleaned the gutters. I just did this. I just bought you this. I just put the gas in the car yesterday. I handed you some money for this. You got my paycheck. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? And meanwhile, that's not a personal hit to you. It's that, hey, I don't feel connected to you. So you're doing all that stuff and it's great. And I love that you do all that stuff. I'm sure it's great to have that as provision, but maybe emotionally, I don't feel connected to you. Or maybe as you're doing those things, you feel somewhat removed, as in like, I'm not there, I'm not present. Maybe you're overwhelmed. You know what I mean? And you're not hearing that. And so she feels something's wrong intuitively, but she can't put her finger on what it is.
Look,
That's really good.
True.
thank you, Gene. That's very important to say, and that's part of what we're going to lean into, talking about. We got not that much time left, but let's talk about some skills that we can share for conflict resolutions to help people understand how to use the conflict. I think it's important at this point that I hope you understood that when you feel a conflict, if you are escalating that conflict to a dangerous level, then you probably need help. Honestly, you might need help. So back yourself out of it and like admit that you need somebody to come and get in here and kind of mediate the situation, because unless you want to be gone or you're in a situation that you do not, and we're talking about loving relationships. We're not talking about abusive ones or anything like that. We're talking about loving relationships where people want to stay together. Let's stay together. That's the whole thing of the series. Then if you're escalating, you need some help.
Yeah.
So before we get into this resolution, I want every couple to kind of answer this, man. How do y'all come back? Derek and Mel, how do y'all come back after you have an argument? Chuck, need to come on?
It really depends on what the argument was about. I think we've gotten better in this area most times because, again, what was modeled to me, and can relate with Kim. So growing up, which one thing I won't do, I won't argue, because growing up, my grandfather and my parents argued, and so just the loudness even as a child, like I would cover my ears because it's too much. So I would shut down. So 10 times out of 10, Derek will be the one who will initiate the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've grown to that place because I have shared with him that it's hard for me to push aside or come out of my emotions because I'm hearing a lot of things, I'm processing a lot of things. And so I have to kind of de escalate myself. I'm very self aware. So before I say anything, I will not, before I say the wrong thing, I won't say anything. And
Mm-hmm.
I realize that that's not always a healthy thing because to him, it does appear that I'm shutting down. But it's really, I just need a long pause. And then once I gather myself and my emotions are in check, I will have some words for him, but no, I will have some. Let me finish.
He said that.
Let me finish. But most of what I've done, and this was recent, once I gather myself, I will text him like my true raw feelings because I can become very emotional to the point of where I will cry. And he'll be like, "Why are you crying?" And I don't really know, but I know it's coming from a place that I'm not completely healed yet and I don't know how to handle this because I've never experienced this. So it's difficult for me. But we will finally sit down and talk through why this happened, how can we do better? But it's initiated by Derek, and I appreciate that about him because I don't know what that looks like. And I will say this: I've done it with children, but I
Mm-hmm.
never did it with a spouse. So I think for me, it's the fact of I don't really know how, but he's teaching me, and I'm learning that this is how you come back from an argument because I'm also learning we're on the same team. Kim reminds me all the time. Derek reminds you're on the same team. And I never heard those words in my first marriage, and I've never seen it. So I did have a great understanding of what that looks like.
That's a
And
good
Jeannie,
girlfriend right there.
yeah,
She
and,
is.
and Jeannie, I grew up where we didn't let disagreements linger.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so when you come from that, and then you're in a situation where a person withdraws,
Mm-hmm.
and it could be like a day or two, and
Oof.
I'm like, are we still here?
Right.
Like, hey, let's talk because, and here's what I shared. The narrative that we tell ourselves
Mm-hmm.
can go way off the wall when one party just refuses to talk or is
Mm-hmm.
very little. I said, I'm not trying to give that space to us to where the negative narratives are in long because you never know where that could go. So I say, let's just talk it through
Mm-hmm.
and get through some things, even if we don't solve it all. I, I don't like that tension there because, like you said earlier, I'm not with my best friend now,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yep.
and we're not connecting. And so, yeah, I can literally get something off my chest, and maybe 15 minutes later, I'm, I'm good,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
Whereas I'm still that girl number two.
Mm-hmm.
I need
Yeah.
a little bit more time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen,
And
Yeah.
that's
days go by.
very,
Yeah.
very important that both of y'all, what both of y'all just said. I probably
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't ask for y'all to be faster because we run out of time,
Oh,
but
Mhm.
I'm glad y'all, took your time with that answer. But
Seriously.
yeah.
I'm running out of time. So I'm gonna go to Mike and Kim. Like, how do y'all come back from arguments?
Yeah, I'll let you answer
I would
first.
say I assess Mike at the end of the night. I feel like we communicate better at the end of the night, and I would just start out by asking him, how's he feeling about everything, and he's very receptive to that. So that works for us. Just like I call pillow talk,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
that works.
It turned into sugar bear night, don't it?
I knew he was gonna fit
Uh,
in there some
I knew it,
at
dude.
some point.
Dude,
Joe, how do you and Donna bounce back?
I'm gonna be real with you, man. I'm gonna take all the accountability. It's she does it,
Ah,
Mm.
okay.
because I do not, and that's embarrassing for me to admit as a therapist.
You know
But
what? Hey,
No
remove,
embarrassment. Right.
remove,
it's,
remove. Growth belongs to all of us. Growth belongs to all of us. Growth belongs to all of us.
Because it's important, right? I mean, it's part of who I am, what I do as a profession. So I know better, but when we get upset, I will shut down for as long as you will allow me.
Absolutely.
Okay.
What did
And
you say? We know better, right? That's
no,
mine. That's all cerebral. That's not heart speak,
yes,
right? That's why you stick there. I
right.
know better. I'm not feel better. I'm not in heart space. That's the growth for you.
Meanwhile, she's like doing little sweet things to let me know, like it's okay, okay, Negro.
Come back to the light.
Yeah,
Come back to the light.
yeah.
I
Okay.
wanted to hear. Mike actually didn't say. I know Kim did, but Mike he deferred to Kim.
I wasn't taught how to come back.
Mm, mm, mm.
I wasn't shown that growing up. I didn't have an
Same.
example of that or anything.
Ah.
My mother was anybody could get it, family
Ooh.
members to whoever, and when she finished saying what she's saying, that's it. That's what I saw. So that's exactly how I am.
Mm-hmm.
And with having these type of hard conversations with my mother, I just recently found out that's how her dad was.
Yep.
You know, um, I'm learning, trying to learn how.
You're doing better.
Thank you. I will tell her, give me a moment,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because I don't want to say something in that moment that'll hurt her feelings or say something I really don't mean. Just give me a minute to sit in it, and then we can come back and talk to it, right?
Same.
What I have learned how to do lately is if it's something I know is very touchy for me, I'll ask her, can we talk about that in therapy session? Simply because I know I don't have all the tools to work my way through whatever it is that we need to talk about without having somebody there to referee or give us guidance. I think that was hard for her to hear because she feel like we should have the tools by now to do that.
You're still practicing them. Okay.
Right.
Uh-huh. That's
Yeah,
all
because
right.
I've been a whole fool for 20 some years. It's gonna take a minute.
Not a whole
You know what I
fool.
mean? And I'm getting better now also at if time goes by, it's easier for me to text her while I'm at
Just like
work.
Mel. Okay.
Right. Versus being there in person. I don't know what it is about it, but it's
I
easy
feel you,
for me
bro.
to do that. And that kind of breaks the ice. Whenever, because normally she's the one who circles back around and say, hey, okay,
It's time.
right, it's time. You hadn't
Heads
said
up.
anything to me, you haven't touched me, you haven't kissed me,
Mm.
you hadn't told me, you love me before you go to work,
Ooh.
that kind
So
of
we
stuff.
get emotionally withholding. We
Yeah,
withhold.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
We're like, oh
yeah,
no,
yeah,
taking that.
yeah.
You can't have that.
So I'm trying to get better at that because, like I said, that's not something that was modeled to me growing up.
Gotcha.
You new here, so you
Yeah.
gotta ask Mike all your questions in the beginning of the show.
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry.
No
When
question
when I
at
do
the time.
this, I mean, cut it short.
But yet he keep asking me to come
I'm
back.
a collaborator. I'm a
Yeah.
let him
You know,
know.
when it was when he deferred to Kim, I was like,
He
time we
got
gonna
them light skin problems.
Sorry. I'm so sorry, Joe. You didn't tell me the skinny.
man, I love everything you say, man, but not on a time crunch. You gotta ask somebody else. But
Jealousy.
listen, we run out of time. I want to ask the couples, and I'm gonna ask Jeannie to throw some insights on at the end. But I want to know basically, we didn't get a chance to get through a lot of stuff. This conversation went good, you know what I mean? But we did miss out on a lot of things. So want to know if you can just tell the audience, and how has conflict strengthened your relationship? How have you connected through your personal conflicts? And I want each person in the couple to answer. And I want the women to. I know Mel has already told us which woman she is, but I really want to know which one of them three women y'all are that Jeannie described earlier. So Derek and Mel, let me ask y'all: how have y'all connected through your conflict?
So definitely by having better communication. So if you don't know, Jeannie, you don't know, but Derek is an over communicator.
I could tell.
I am not. So because even in the difficulty, even in the hardness, and I use the analogy of a butterfly, like in a cocoon. Like sometimes I feel like I'm in a cocoon and I'm ready to come out. He has helped me to kind of come out of that, like a metamorphosis. So we are learning how to connect. We are learning how to have the difficulty. And you're right, Joe. When I'm in it, like the first 2-3 years, I was definitely woman 3. But because Derek, he sees me, I see him. He is my friend. I do have my best girlfriend to be like, now, friend, she will call me out. I'm finding that middle. Sometimes I have to tell number 3, like, no, stay right here, stay right here. So I'm learning, and I see the growth in me, which spills over into us.
Quickly, Joe.
Yeah.
For me, conflicts brings us closer. For me, it's a bonding time. Although it's hard, it's bonding.
I'm sorry, Joe.
Yeah, Joe, I tried to do it like land your plane.
Good.
I'm like Mike.
It was good. It was good. We needed it all.
The mother. Me and Mike, we related.
You saw me, Donna, like land this plane. Right?
Damn.
Good.
I know.
I'm sorry.
It's all good. I'm learning. So did you answer that, Derek? My bad. I didn't mean to.
Yeah, I did. I said when we have conflict, it's bonding for me. Even though it's hard because I'm learning more about her and I'm learning more about me.
Okay, Mike and Kim, man, how's conflict brought y'all closer? Have y'all connected through y'all conflicts? I mean, y'all kind of talked about some of it already, but sum it up.
I'm learning how to be softer with her. I haven't been good at that at all. So just trying to be softer with her, allowing her to be more feminine without her feeling like she has to hold back. So yeah.
And he learned that in therapy, and I'm so happy because it has made a difference in our marriage. Because I feel seen and heard, and I have my own voice. So.
Oh, and you deserve that, all of that. Yeah.
What improvements did you have to make, Kim?
I think just trying to understand, really like going back to how he grew up, just learning his background and understanding it, and learning myself, and it's helped a lot.
The boy said his hero was James Evans, so when the James
boy,
he ain't
he
lying.
never laid his hands on Florida, but he threw that chair against the wall a few times and beat the hell out of it.
Yeah, that was me. That was me.
It was.
Yeah, it was.
How have you how's conflict helped you connect with your husband?
This is hard.
Hard question.
Yeah, it's a hard question.
Why is it hard?
'Cause I don't like conflict
At all.
I'm shocked.
I mean, I'll argue with you all day, but
No, I'm talking about. I've seen you at work handle business, but I guess that's work.
yeah, I think it's different.
It sounds strange if you know her, right? She runs up this chimney looking for smoke.
Right.
But with me,
Yeah,
complete
it's like
avoidance.
with family and friends. I avoid
not
it
just
at
me.
all costs.
Oh wow. Okay.
Once.
Yeah, there you go. But I don't know, but the conflict that we have had that we've tried to talk through, work through, I mean, it does bring us closer, like everybody else, because you're learning each other, and you're learning more about yourself. So,
Mandy.
You are.
Bye, James.
Yes.
Damn. Listen, connecting to conflict for me has given me an opportunity to, and we've known each other since we were 14 years old. I was 14.
here we go.
She was 15.
Go there.
And so I've watched her go through, many stages of life. You know what I mean? And when we got together and started having like intimate conversations, I realized just how much I did not know about her. And I'm still like uncovering these things this will be the 30th year of us knowing each other.
Wow.
Wow.
So in year 30 of us knowing each other, I'm still right now to this day uncovering things about her. And usually comes out through conflict because one of the things I would say for us arguing, like before now, she's better now, but she used to go like tunnel vision, dark, like no, nothing's going in,
Ah,
nothing's
shut
going.
down.
Not listen. I'm not ready to hear none of this, none of it. But I had to.
I was definitely number 3.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm out of here. Yeah, that's it.
here. So we had to like through conflict, we got an opportunity to like learn. Like, look, I'm not going nowhere. You ain't going nowhere. We better figure this out
Right.
because these
Yeah.
arguments are going to a level that we're not comfortable with. Sometimes, we don't argue very much. When we do, when it gets real heated, it gets really bad.
Yeah.
But that's before. Now it's like we can talk through stuff, and it's still surprising sometimes. Like, oh wow, you really. For me, it's like, oh, you really are trying to listen to me. So I have to adjust to, stuff that I'm not used to. But so the conflict, you know what I mean? I think it's probably kept us together. It's part of the reason we stay together because we've learned so much about each other. And at the end of the day, like how we come back from argument, like we still laugh. We like to do a lot of, we like to say stuff. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, we're born together. We're born.
I've said this to Derek and Mel before, but I don't know if I've expressed this to Joe. But in the last year or so, I've been learning who Mike is, right? Without having to be Mike for who everybody else need me to be for them. So with me focusing on that, it's allowing me to know myself better, which will make me better for her. So as I'm learning that, my walls are coming down. I'm getting softer, listening to her, that kind of thing. So once I begin to know, more and more about myself, then I feel like we'll become stronger. So,
Absolutely. I have no doubts.
Jeannie, please enlighten us with some of your clinical insights about conflict.
Sure, absolutely.
If you don't mind, please.
Absolutely. I'll give a little summation because I think that can sometimes
Closing
be.
thoughts, I should say, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I'll do it. I'll try to make it. I'll try to close you out really nice.
There you go.
So related to conflict, whenever we're beginning in conflict, we all talked about all these stages, right? This idea of like, I need to be asking myself when a conflict arises in the relationship, who am I in that, right? Like, what am I coming in with? So am I coming as a blamer, as someone who's defensive, as someone who's avoidant, as someone who is criticizing inside of the conflict, right? And getting on par with the problem. So I've got the conflict, here it is. What is actually the problem? Here are all the layers that exist that are keeping me from that problem, which we discussed, but I've got to get to what is at the heart of what's happening. And then once I'm at the heart of what's happening and I'm understanding where I am, right, understanding what I need in these things and understanding and seeing my partner as a teammate rather than an adversary, I can hone in on communicating the issue and what I need to help resolve the issue. And then we can begin inside of the resolving of the issue, which is giving what is needed and asking for what is needed, or, being asked what is needed and answering what is needed so that we can get what is needed, whether, that is what's happening in the relationship based on the dynamics and which role we play. So I think you all did such a beautiful job of that. And some of the insights that I would say are super important to just remember are that conflict is an opportunity. I know that you're afraid. I know that you feel worried about what it's going to mean for the relationship in the moment because it can create these blowups and escalations. I know you're worried about what it could mean for the relationship overall, whether that's the longevity of the relationship or, what type of cadence it's going to get into if we have the issue. However, conflict is an opportunity for us to learn about ourselves, and it's an opportunity for us to learn about our partners, and it's an opportunity for us to learn about the relationship at large and what we can move it through and how we can grow. And so shying away from that and noting it as something that's something to run away from or something to throw out or something to discount is not the way to move our relationship forward. So that's what I want you thinking about when it comes to conflict. It's not really the bad guy. It's a tool.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Gene.
I really appreciate you and the Pruitts and the Moores and my wife Donna for showing up tonight. You know, I'm gonna leave it at that. I would just say that join us again next week for part 3 of the series, and we're going to talk about the art of turning towards your partner, which you know, we'll explain it next week. I don't want to get into it right now, but it's very important. Remember, the mission or the goal of this month of February is to teach couples how to stay together. You know, if you're in a situation where, you know, you are feeling out of place or uneasy and, you know, you want to learn how to stay together, you know, then you should be here, like listening to things and having takeaways. And I hope y'all had some takeaways tonight. You know, I know that I did. There's some things that I still get to learn from, you know, community with other couples and other therapists, or, you know, I'm learning things on a regular basis. I get an opportunity to connect with my wife. So just, yeah, let's we on a mission. Let's stay together, y'all. Okay. Let's stay together. Look,
Absolutely.
hey, I appreciate everybody for showing up tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank
And
you,
thank you,
Jamie.
Mike and Kim, for having your arms down.
Oh.
Yeah.